Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NOCO webinar, Safe Access for Everyone is Good for Business. My name is Matt Jasnos, and I'll help facilitate today's webinar. As a quick reminder, at the National Operations Center of Excellence, we offer a variety of resources to support the transportation systems management and operations community. You can go to NOCO's website at transportationops.org to browse through links for TSMO resources and news. Previous webinar recordings and case studies can be accessed from here. Now I'll cover a few logistics for today's webinar. We are recording this webinar, and the recording will be available on NOCO's website. All the attendees are encouraged to stay engaged by using the Q&A feature for questions and the chat feature for comments. These are both on the bottom of your screen. We have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation, so if you have any questions, we encourage you to enter them in the Q&A area so as they come to mind at any time. Also, please feel free to enter your name and agency in the chat to say hello to your peers. Now I'm going to hand it off to our moderator from FHWA, Neil Spiller. Neil?
Hello, everyone. You can hear me, Matt?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Hi, Neil Spiller with Federal Highway Administration. I'm in Washington, D.C. in the Office of Operations. This presentation is to tell you about a document which dates back to 2003, but we have now updated it to this year and reproduced a newer, fresher version of it. And the purpose of this document is for agencies to either direct people to this information or to print it off. There's also, I think, going to be a two-page kind of a handout that will also be up on our website that you could hand out at a public meeting. So if you are organizing or hosting a public meeting with your agency with the intent of discussing corridor improvements or roadway improvements, and people have some reservations about how that might affect their entrances and their businesses, particularly this is for business, this document would be able to give them some information and maybe quell their fears a little bit. We have a great team that's put this work together, and they're going to lead you through an overview of the document, which, as I said, is and does exist currently on our operations website. I think that there will be a URL listed either later or put in the chatbots later, one or the other. But basically, you go to our Office of Operations website, Federal Highways, and go to the Access Management page, and there's a drop-down menu. And when you hit the Access Management page, there will be a link that you can hit for publications and resources, and that's where you would find this resource and any adjacent resources that would go with it. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Christine Williams, who's one of our consultant experts, subject matter experts. She's going to lead you through this document. Christine?
All right, thanks a lot, Neil. I appreciate it. And good afternoon, everybody. My name's Christine Williams. I was formerly managing a research program in transportation planning at the University of South Florida, and I'm currently an independent transportation consultant. So let's move on and get into some of the details of this. But before I do want to mention a few disclaimers. So Matt, if you could proceed here, but just a reminder that the project was done under the sponsorship of USDOT, and the U.S. government does not endorse products, manufacturers, or outside entities. Any trademarks, names, or logos appear in the report because they're considered essential to the objective of the document, but this is included for informational purposes only and not intended to reflect a preference, approval, or endorsement of any one product or entity. So with that said, I think we can move on and talk about today's information. Matt? So why do government agencies manage roadway access? Well, clearly it's done because of the benefits that these projects and strategies provide to the public, including improved safety, less delay, better quality of service, and even more livable roadway corridors. And if you look at the figure, a lot of this benefit comes from a reduction in conflicts, traffic conflicts that can lead to safety and delay issues. And so if we move forward to talk a little bit about what are some of these strategies and how do they work? So access management strategies. Matt, could you please move forward here? Yes, access management projects. Some examples of that would be installing raised medians and closing median openings. Those reduce left turn conflicts. They can channel U-turns to safe locations, resulting in great safety benefits. Adding turn lanes, getting that turning vehicle out of the through lane so it doesn't delay through movement and also doesn't have a rear end collision. So closing or relocating, redesigning driveways, again, moving driveways away from intersections, for example, or interchanges where they're known to create safety hazards. Installing new types of intersections, which basically improve safety and reduce delay by changing how left turns are made. And those might include these acronyms like R-cut, MUT, Michigan U-turn, roundabout. So all these newfangled intersection designs and a variety of other things like service roads that can get access off of a highway or different treatments for bicycle, pedestrian, and transit access and safety. And then agencies might adopt a variety of policies and regulations. So access management is also a regulatory act, and planning can involve a plan. Matt? Uh, yeah, despite the many benefits that access management offers the public, it also raises anything that affects property access does raise concerns over its potential effect, adverse effect on businesses. And those concerns are common. Concerns might arise, for example, over the effect of access changes on customers and customer activity. Freight and delivery vehicles, how will they get in and out? Even the property or resale value of property. Um, and so agencies can sometimes be under intense pressure to yield to requests for additional driveways or signals, and even to forego important safety projects altogether, particularly in the case of medians. And if you've ever tried to explain to a business owner why a median won't put them out of business, you know that these can be difficult conversations. So the primer is intended to help agencies address these types of concerns. And it's written from the perspective of the business owner as well. So it communicates to the business owner. Matt? So let's look at what some of the research says. And there are lots of details in the primer that you can also consult. But the business effects of access management have been studied on literally hundreds of commercial corridors in cities across the United States in large peer-reviewed studies often. And in general, these studies have found that access management projects really neither increase nor decrease business failure rates. In fact, most businesses involved in these corridors do as well, if not better, after the project is completed. Well, this makes sense considering that a lot of factors other than highway access do affect business success, as we all know, such as what's the quality of the product? Is service good? How's the management? Are there competitors or major competitors moving in? Which is in the case of the big box retailers coming in and many smaller businesses suffering as a result. So these are all issues that businesses face. And also, just as an aside, states that have studied the effects of of access management projects on property values, there have been a few of those studies found that the property values have stayed the same or increased. So there are some issues though. I mean, business owners do tend to be very anxious, but they often report that the actual effects to their businesses are less than they anticipated from the project. So that suggests that the anxiety that accompanies the change surrounding these projects is often more of an issue than the change itself, which leads me to also suggest that perhaps it's very, very critical to involve and engage the businesses early and often, and be very clear on how the change is going to affect traffic to help allay those concerns. But there are often anecdotal comments as well that, geez, we really like the project now. We're glad it's there. It's improved safety, and now it hasn't hurt our business. And we've heard in some areas where other areas want that type of same treatment in in their corridor as a result. So, um, and then the other thing to keep in mind with these projects is that the studies have found adverse effects during construction, and those adverse effects tend to be temporary, attributable to construction, not a change in access. But that also raises the importance of having good strategies for managing access during construction. And those are mentioned also in the primer. Matt? And here's just an example of one study. I think there were almost 800 corridors studied uh, in this one in North Carolina, if I recall correctly. And here again, it shows how these businesses tend to, despite perhaps very strong negative reactions to a proposed medium project, support it after the fact, and they have a much more favorable perception once it is installed. Next. And this study from Iowa, talking about sales after Nexus Management Project. Here you can see really a majority of businesses, I think it was 65% here, felt that the access or the sales were as good, if not better, after the access management project had been completed. And this is kind of a typical finding. And these are self-reports. Some of the studies do look at sales tax data, and they also have found increases in sales after projects. Matt? Some of the other things, when considering the corridors and the studies that have looked at corridors in a broader regional context, have shown that the ups and downs in business activity that tend to occur follow those generally as an economy as a whole. So that's another, they might be experiencing some ups and downs, but those are not necessarily a result of the access management project per se. Another thing with these projects is that they tend to be done on very high volume, busy corridors where it's already difficult for customers to turn in and out, make left turns in and out during peak hours. So a median is not, as many business owners fear, going to cut their customer activity in half, because a lot of those customers are making changes in how they access that business anyway. Um, Another thing is that the type of business has certain implications, and it's important to understand those and perhaps point those out to concerned business owners. For example, if you're a convenience-oriented business, now those are more sensitive to access changes. People expect to get in and out quickly and easily. But for those, the issue really tends to be more visibility. Where's the signage? Can you see you can get in here? Good on-site circulation and convenient and not necessarily direct access. So a short driveway directly on the highway or wide open frontage may not be the best scenario for them. It doesn't have the capacity that a better design shared circulation system might, if they're a small site with the adjacent customers. And then for the destination businesses, like your medical center, your or doctor's office, or your grocery store, or big box retailer, then yes, those really customers are looking at, how do I get there in advance? And now we have GPS that can tell us exactly how to get there. It even tells us now when we have to do a U-turn at a median opening further down and come back. So they're mapping it out in advance. They're making the decision to get there. And so in that case, it's really an issue of, is the access safe? It can really benefit those larger businesses if they have access on more than one road, makes the site overall more accessible, and even access to a signal through the system. So those, and then as well as visibility and good signage. For smaller destination business, having and being off on a local collector or a less busy highway can be really beneficial. It's easier and safer for folks to get in and out. And of course, similarly, cross access, side street access, as I mentioned, anything that improves the accessibility of a site and the convenience to customers so they don't have to go back out on a busy highway just to get down to a few businesses down, that is also beneficial. But if you do have a driveway on a very congested highway, that highway is perceived as unsafe, customers may start to think, maybe I should go elsewhere. So again, another consideration. And of course, although everyone during a project is focused on the adverse potential for adverse effects because change is occurring, these projects can and do have a variety of positive effects on business. The medians and less driveways can mean more space for landscaping, sidewalks and other treatments that enhance the business environment, make it more accessible to all users. They can also increase the portion of the site that's available for parking, for example. And the safety benefits of access management don't just accrue to the traveling public, but also to customers and workers that frequent that site. And a business might lose customers if its driveway is frequently blocked or it's unsafe to access. So, and then the issue of more potential customers driving by, better traffic flow from these projects is tantamount to free advertising and pass by traffic. As the more pass by traffic, the more potential customers. So if it is unsafe, and studies show that too many driveways and signals do accelerate the loss of capacity of a highway. And a single crash could bear up potential customer or could really tie them up for hours. And so it really is an issue to have improved safety on these highways, because if they're more congested, actually other research shows that the market area can shrink. And so customers will start thinking, hey, I can get to this business a lot quicker, even though it might be a little further away, and it's not as stressful or scary to get there. And then that last one, better accessibility, I've already alluded to through shared connections, shared parking, even getting access to a signal, and having access to more than one road. and being able to get into that site from more than one direction. Those are all strategies for access management. And one of the things in general, while we're trying to control and manage access on the highway, we're also trying to improve accessibility landside from the neighborhoods. And I do recall a study, and I think it was Minnesota, that actually found that even though there was a actually access control project on the highway, businesses actually began to thrive because of improvements to the local network to allow them to get in from the rear. So that is another strategy that really can benefit businesses. Matt? Uh, Nonetheless, I mean, studies are great, but every, information's great, but every situation is unique. And of course, there's anxiety surrounding this. So it's important, it's really critical, we found, and particularly in medians and anything that affects access, to involve people as early and as often as possible, encourage people to, businesses and other stakeholders to attend the public meetings and hearings, voice their concerns, give the planners and engineers information about how people get in and out of their business, how deliveries are made that can help them make better decisions on the project that will reduce or avoid the unnecessary and adverse effects on businesses. So simple changes that could address that. And also gives the project manager an opportunity to tell them how traffic is going to circulate and how deliveries could be made. So Matt, the next, so here is just showing you the information resources that were developed, and as Neil mentioned, you can email him to find out how to access those. They're going to be on the website. I think right now the primer already is. It's a lengthy primer that goes through a variety of techniques as well as the studies, and gives you all the details on those studies as well. It even talks a little bit about how automated vehicles might benefit from access management, and how those might come into business. And again, it is written from that business perspective. And the 2-page fact sheet, which could be handed out at a meeting, and the 9-minute video that hopefully I think we have time to now. John is going to, my colleague John Haberman from Texas A&M Transportation Institute, who, by the way, was the prime contractor on this project. He's going to talk to you about that video, and then we're going to show that. So I'm going to turn that over now to John.
Thank you, Christine. And
Welcome.
even though our esteemed colleague, Dr. Karen Dixon, retired, we have to give her the due credit for all the years of working with you on this topic to get us to where we are and and where we're going with it. We know that the public likes to digest information in multiple ways. And so part of this project from Federal Highway was to create a video that could be either shown in a public meeting, posted to a project website, or maybe even emailed out to constituents and stakeholders. They could watch the video, and it generally summarizes everything Christine just said. We like to often say in our world that a healthy community is healthy businesses, a healthy environment that has vegetation, and then healthy people that can have mobility in the vehicle and outside the vehicle. So all that working in concert is what some of this is getting at with the safe access. And Christine made some very good points that you'll see the video highlights with snapshots and examples on how that works, and then with the testimony as well. So if Rachel, if you're able to call that up, unless there was more you were needing from me, I thought I'd just do a quick executive summary of what we created.
And just a reminder to folks, you may have to turn up the volume on your set or your headphones during the video and then turn it back down.
Can you unmute Rachel? There you go.
Welcome to the Safe Access for Everyone video and information session. This video contains information on access management, of uncontrolled access on businesses and property owners, benefits of controlled access to businesses, and navigating road construction when access is modified. When traffic gets this chaotic, drivers don't want to be here. Unfortunately, for the businesses located here, fewer drivers means fewer customers. It's not only businesses. Everything near here is affected. Schools, places of worship, office building tenants, even emergency services. Congestion is caused by two things: too much traffic and too many traffic conflicts. Conflict happens when two vehicles, and a pedestrian bicycle, compete for the same space at the same time. Make the number of vehicles go away and help control the vehicle conflicts that contribute. Traffic conflicts create congestion, delay, and crashes. Studies confirmed that predictable crashes increases with the and increased conflict points. The number of cars on the road may remain the same. Conflicts that cause these problems can be controlled. The approach to solving vehicle conflicts is called access management. What is access management? Simply put, access management restores order. One aspect of a road improvement project is the opportunity to reduce conflicts, congestion, and delay. It involves improved control of the location, spacing, design, and operation of driveways, intersections, and access along a roadway. Opportunity exists to improve future conditions by reducing the number of future vehicle and pedestrian conflicts through good design practice. By strategically managing access, enhance safety, mobility, and overall road efficiency. It's about finding the right balance between providing access to businesses and properties while minimizing conflicts and ensuring smooth traffic flow. Access management a win, better traffic flow, and safer roads for everyone. Engineers have proven ways to turn a chaotic corridor into a safer, manageable roadway. Among the solutions, installing medians to separate opposing traffic, modifying points, and strategically locating U-turns up and downstream of left turn movements. But before the implementation of solutions must be communicated to the impacted property and business owners.
I was that now something was going to happen to our property after I just completed an expansion, took on the risk of doing all of that to the family business. But then I went to the meeting. I learned that none of my property was going to be taken away. So leave feeling of, okay, good.
Changes property access are common and will likely improve business. In fact, the goal of this project is to improve. Customers will want to come back enticed by a safer, more orderly corridor. Existing customers will adjust to the new changes, and new customers may be a result of the newly refurbished corridor. Depending on the project, driveways may be directly or indirectly affected. Direct impacts include building a median, closing a driveway, or perhaps eliminating left turns in or out. Indirect impacts include using a signal upstream or access to another property up or downstream. Even if your driveway is redesigned to restrict some turns, research indicates that this type of action won't hurt business. Studies about access like NCHRP 1032 and others in states as diverse as Florida, Kansas, and Texas are remarkably consistent and positive. Most businesses along highway corridors experience similar or greater sales once projects are completed. Business turnover and vacancy rates do not increase after changes are made. to consider. Most business customers say completed roadway improvements make better traffic flows. Commercial real estate prices are not affected even when property access is changed from direct access to indirect access. And roadway improvements that do not adversely impact commercials in the area, except perhaps only during the construction phase.
I think it was a positive on the front of our property. Now we have parking in front and having the highway traffic and making a right turn. So I think that slows down the traffic initially running in front of our restaurant. So that was a positive. Initially, it impacted the customers on reaching them. But I haven't heard any negative out of it. It was just kind of a change that everybody adjusted to.
Research from places like New York and Minnesota have found that successful access management projects can reduce congestion delays in the corridor. Think about it. What region do you avoid because if the lessened, you might reconsider revisiting those corridors. The benefit of completed access management projects is that while congestion is lessened, rear end and sideswipe crashes are also reduced.
So we've heard compliments of having that parking up front. Building was built, in 1958, so parking all around the building, but as the neighborhood has grown and put the parking in the back of the building. So this in the front, customers have really enjoyed having that.
Access management works best when all stakeholders let their voices be heard. Most transportation agencies or municipalities will hold open houses or similar events that encourage the public's participation. Such meetings give business owners and other organizations the opportunity to comment on proposed changes. For example, tell them about your unique and individual needs. Do you have expansion plans? What are your expectations during and after the roadway improvements? And be sure to discuss issues during construction as well. The entire process works best. Public and private sectors are well represented in all the stages of the project.
I think phone call and text was great, and having a contact with TxDOT was very crucial as far as like making changes as construction was happening. Event every year where there's 8 buses coming around the corner, and having that contact with TxDOT benefited us to be able to work around the construction materials, and that way it was kind of a win-win for both of us.
Balancing the feedback on the transportation project is very important. I've worked on a project in a suburban area where TxDOT planned to go in and make some improvements on a stretch of road. We went in and met with all the stakeholders, and once we were able to get them all in a room and talk through the issues, clearly pointed out that it was actually just a smaller subset of our project that was the true issue. And then if we could go in there and fix those issues, which is what they wanted, they would be happy with the project. And of course, it would save costs. So we were able to get wonderful public feedback. We were able to change the scope of our project, solve issues. Once again, hopefully everybody was happy.
Hopefully, this video has helped questions and address concerns you have of the roadway project proposed in your area. To learn more about the access tools and how they can help, read the Federal Highway Administration's companion primer to this video, Safe Access for Everyone is Good. In it, businesses continue to operate during construction and continue to their construction. 2 great resources are the Transportation Research Board's Access Management website at accessmanagement.info or the Federal Highway Administration's Management website at highways.dot.gov. These websites are a huge clearinghouse of papers, research, and resources such as the National TRB Access Management Manual. These websites promote and discuss access management and the potential impact on businesses. If you have concerns or questions, please discuss it with the project team who oversees the project or showed you this video. Remember, safe access for everyone is good for business.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Christine and Rachel. I'm not entirely sure where we go from here, except for if there are questions, obviously, we would like to take them. I don't know if there's any in the chat box, but if anybody has a question and wants to unmute themselves, they can do that. Um, in the meantime, if we hear a question, we'll take it right away. If not, I'm going to just remind people again that this is you know under the great umbrella of change causes stress, and I think that's exactly what this product is is trying to do and does very well. Is to say that change sometimes is inevitable. Change is going to happen. People get stressful about it, and whatever whether it's business or whether it's sports or whether it's school or whatever, or moving, it causes stress, and this is a way for people to kick back and understand what the project is all about. In this case, we're not talking about a project like a development coming in of 300 houses or a Walmart coming in or something being built at the end of the street. This is really mostly talking about a corridor improvement where you're taking multiple blocks, a couple miles of a suburban or arterial highway, making an improvement to it and having to make some changes to those access points while you have the opportunity to do that during the construction phase. So the construction phase ends up being the worst of the worst, but everybody gets through that. And then after it, I think that this document supports. And as I said, this document goes back to 2003 in its original context, and it has been updated with more relevant and more recent, I should say, studies that continue to support what it said back in 2003. So I think this is a great product for agencies to consider to take, or to hand out or to give or to offer to people that they can give them our website and they can download it. Right now, the primer is up on the website. Shortly, the 2-page fact sheet or executive summary will be up on the website too, as well as the video. Those are still going through some final review and some final editing to be posted. Let me turn it over to Christine or John or Matt to kind of wrap up. Unless we have anyone who has a specific question, we'll be happy to take that question. Sounds like you guys did a great job explaining it.
I guess I don't see any questions in the chat. But I do hope these resources are helpful, and I do believe they will be. There's a lot of information in the primer that can also go into an agency's presentations if they'd like. And so, and I think that a lot of folks like to watch videos, so the video does give them that additional kind of easy to digest information. But
And Christine, can
it also gives them the first person testimony of some people that have been through it and said, well, I wonder what's going to happen. And then once the project is executed and then completed, they come back and say, hey, that wasn't so bad. And actually things might actually be better. And hopefully it is. I mean, you hesitate to think that any agency is going to produce a project which inherently makes things worse. I hope that's not the case, but we want to do it in a way that is has some context to the businesses and residents who live along that road too.
And Christine, do you want to give Rachel and her team credit and her role in all this?
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole team, if we want to, let's go back to that because I thought we were briefly going to do that in the beginning. But yes, I want to mention Rachel, who Rachel Ostroff of ICF, who was the project leader, and Karen Dixon of Texas Transportation Institute, as you mentioned, John, and of course yourself, um, who were the prime contractors, and myself at the University of South Florida, and now currently retired, and semi-retired, I should say. And I also want to mention that there was a project that was noted in this material, NCHRP, what was it, 1092, how to measure and communicate the value of access management. And there are a variety of great resources there as well if you're interested in this topic. So I encourage you all to take a look at that.
Matt, I think we're going to hand it back to you to wrap us up and take us home.
All right, Neil. Well, thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. I also want to thank our panelists, Neil, John, Christine, and Rachel for your support. We had a great discussion here today. And as I mentioned in the beginning, a recorded version of this webinar will be available on the NOCO website as soon as it's ready. And on behalf of the National Operations Center of Excellence and our presenters, I want to thank everyone again for joining us today. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.